We are live on Facebook. Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us for another Luke and Susie Discourse. We have got some pretty hard-hitting conversations to get through today. Do you know, Suze, it's quite funny because we've got a whole bunch of really light-hearted questions.
Very light-hearted questions today.
Wait. You weren't here for the planning process. This is the serious list.
Oh, really?
Like, we actually took some, frivolous ones out and added some depth in.
Wow.
Yeah. So you should have seen where the list started. Hey, we respond to the questions that you ask us to talk about. So if you want to get fun, let's get fun. We're going to get into and start off with Debbie's question about going through the checkout at the supermarket.
Mm-hmm.
The Luke and Susie quotable in just moments, and it's talking about insanity.
It's Luke and Susie with Faith Family Culture. It's Luke and Susie with you. We're broadcasting from Greece.
What's the wise words of someone from yesteryear? If you're online, make sure you add to the chat, whether it be on YouTube or on Facebook, on the socials. You can just, as you add to the chat, we get the comments and you can be a part of whatever you're watching as well, a part of the conversation. Suze, let's get to a question that has been asked from Debbie.
Now, this is one that we've asked before, and what I find is this is one of those things that people are particularly passionate about.
Right. Did we talk about this before?
We have spoken about this before quite a while ago, and I'm interested to see if the mood has changed around it at all, because it's one of those topics where people get very, very protective of people's jobs.
Okay, yeah, I'd forgotten about that. Let's get into this question from Debbie, all about the supermarket.
The Luke and Susie Discourse.
Debbie's asked, do you use the self-serve checkouts or prefer to stand and wait to be served? I think there's a little bit of bias in the way that the question's being asked.
Well, yes.
Prefer to stand and wait to be served, like on your legs?
Just go and serve yourself. Yes.
What do you think, Suze?
Well, this is interesting because we've found very passionate answers about this in the past where people say, don't use the self-serve checkout. People lose their jobs if you just serve yourself. That's what they're paid there to do. I use both. It depends on, and I also do the shopping from home as well these days. So I use a little bit of all of it, depending on how much of a rush I'm in or how much stuff I'm buying. If I'm buying a lot of stuff, of course I go through the checkout because they're just faster and more efficient and nice to talk to.
Yeah.
But if I'm only getting a couple of things and I'm just in a focused mood, I'll just go through the self-serve.
Yeah. So I think I've changed. I think I was exclusively self-serve checkout. I wanted to go there because it's quicker and I had all these things in my head as to to what I wanted. But then I read some research and some research said it's not quicker. That the actual professionals are quicker at
they're
scanning
way quicker at scanning.
and bagging. Yes. But if the queue is at a certain length, then there's a certain algorithm that calculates for every new person in the checkout, there's this greeting and this salutation period, which slows it down. And so I basically do an algorithm assessment as I get there and it includes in there my emotions of the day and how peopled out I am or how peopled in I am. And all of that criteria decides which way I go.
Yeah, I feel like the self-serve checkout is the supermarket's catering for the introvert.
Well, it can be.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But then I'm also lazy. So if you're lazy as well as sort of really want to not be with people, then it can be a really difficult tussle. Like, so I don't even know the percentage breakdown, and I don't think I could have one month where it's nothing but self-serve and the next month where I don't want to go anywhere near it. I just want to hand somebody else my stuff and let them take care of it.
Yeah.
So it changes for me all the time. So let's get some thoughts on this. Do you use the self-serve checkouts or, prefer to go through a checkout? Producer Semi, what do you do?
I'm a self-checkout all the way. I only do small shops because I have my list and I stick to it. So then I also have the whole thing of like, I've looked at the price because remember, I'm very stingy. So if I scan it and it's too expensive, then I'm not happy about it.
And do you then void it? Do you take it back and go, oh, no, I don't like that?
I used to. My partner gets very embarrassed. So he's banned me from doing that. He's like, no, before we get there, you check the trolley. If you want to take anything out, we're not doing this again.
Oh, my goodness.
Because you have to, like, call the person and they're like, oh, sorry. And then he's standing there and he's glaring at me.
Okay. I can imagine the tension in your relationship at the supermarket. That could be awkward. Let's get to some thoughts outside of the show here.
All right, Bev, when it comes to the supermarket, are you self-serve or do you like someone to serve you or do you just shop from home?
I do all of them.
Bit of everything.
Yeah, I mostly It depends how big the queue is. Whether I've actually learned queue jumping doesn't work.
Yes.
Someone will start talking.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we're being served or another cash register has opened up. The other day I went shopping and I forgot my bags and I went, oh no. And I ran out to the car and this lady helped me, looked after my little tiny shop, and then someone else opened. So the majority is I get served by a person because I always like to have a chat and brighten someone's day up. And rarely. Do you think I go through, Darren? Do you think we go through self-serve very much?
Not very much.
Yeah.
I've always thought that it does do people's jobs away, but I know there is a person that's always there, staff member helping.
Yeah.
Usually about 6 on our Woolies. It's usually about six tellers.
Yeah.
I myself try and use the 12 items or less aisle most times.
Yes.
There's usually a string of small shops when we realise we don't have
Yeah.
Yeah.
if you don't have a big shop to do. So I try and go through the 12 items or less and try and use that. But sometimes, depending when you go, if it's at night or on a Sunday, or they don't, and depending how staffed they are at that store, they don't always have the that open.
Yeah, that's true.
So you've got forced to either use the main. They're usually one or two people in the main tellers, or you've got to use that. So, that's the way I sort of play it,
And I've stopped using it online because sometimes the things don't come that you've ordered.
Oh, yes.
No point. It's no point me ordering online when I could just go down in the street and get it. So if it's not COVID and I'm not sick, we're still in. I'll go shopping just to get out of the house. And
absolutely, fair call. Interested, Suze, with what Bev was talking about before about the aisle, the checkout hopping. This is my theory. I think that there is somebody watching the CCTV footage with walkie-talkies, and everybody else in the supermarket are actors, and they're all there for a giant practical joke on me.
Right.
So if I go to a checkout and I go, this will be the quickest, it's like someone on the walkie-talkie's got, all right, everybody in that lane, just stop, and everybody else go quickly. And then I think, oh, do I jump? And if I ever jump into the next lane, it's like they've got the walkie-talkie and go, slow down that lane, slow down, checkout 7, and everybody else go. And it's like, whichever way I go, it's the slowest option, Suze. It is one giant practical joke.
Yeah.
Are they playing this on me every time?
Yeah, they are. They've told me.
And they're all actors. No one's actually
I know
a
it
genuine
feels like
shopper
that,
there.
but no.
Gee, it's ridiculous.
There's not that much attention on you, Luke.
Yeah. So the world doesn't revolve around me.
No, it doesn't.
Jeez. The first time I've understood that.
Hey, Phil, when you go to the shop, do you like to just go through and take care of all your own stuff, or do you like to go through the checkout?
I'm actually old-fashioned. I prefer to talk to somebody, greet them and tell them how good their job is.
Yeah, that's good.
You go to those automatic tellers and you can't say hello to them. You can't say how's your day going. All you can hear is, have you got your flyby cards, or is it check or cash? And I'm old fashioned, especially with the phone calls. Especially with those phone calls when you ring up people. You ring them up and you got to sit there for 5 minutes to listen to phone calls. Why can't I just talk to a human being?
Yes. Yeah.
I get it.
I hope, Phil, that what you're calling old-fashioned becomes retro and really cool again, and that good customer service is
old-fashioned versus retro, very different perceptions. Heather, what about you? Is self-serve checkout or go to get served by a person?
Hi guys, thanks for having me. So we in our family shop at Aldi. So there's this stress response when we are checking our stuff out, but then whatever's not there, because not everything's there, we go to Woolies after. It's like this routine. And Woolies, we'll try and get it under a certain amount, but we always go self-serve because Woolies is very tempting. The ice cream aisle we try to stay clear of and just get
Good
in
decision.
that sort of thing. No, it's too tempting. So self-serve, we're like, let's just get in, get out. Yeah, that's our approach.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like it.
I like Dana on the message. She says, I hate online ordering. I did it twice and the order was wrong both times, but I love wandering the aisles. And this is her reason. It's my kid-free time.
Oh, yes. Slow it down.
And if everybody's happy with going to the supermarket without the kids, then I'll just take my time. Oh, look at this. I need to go walk that aisle again. Good. Hey, Joe, what about you? Are you self-serve checkout or go to see a person?
Hey, how you doing? I'm generally self-serve checkout. I think depends a bit on the lanes, on the traffic, what's going on. Sometimes I go the other way, but yeah, generally self-serve. Just want to get in, get out.
Yeah, I chuckle because Alison, while you were talking, wrote a very good point. She said for her, 9 times out of 10, the self-serve assistant has to come and help her.
Yeah,
so it kind of defeats the purpose.
It kind of does. But Joe, let me tell you. Let me tell you what Chris said. Chris said it depends how cute the assistant is. Then it's fine to get help at the self-serve checkout when they're cute.
You can't say that. That's not okay. Come on.
People meet at the supermarket. It's a great way to meet people.
I suppose if you're genuinely going for this is a different form of online dating.
Yeah.
This is offline dating.
Yeah. What are you looking for in someone? Someone who goes to the supermarket. That's what I want in someone I date. It's a great place to meet them.
It's interesting. Keep them coming on the SMS 0417 455 37. That's 0417 455 37. David has got our animals involved in our conversation right now, and he wants to talk about our dogs and our sleeping habits. Suze, this is one that's quite interesting. You just waved your finger at me.
Yes.
I think Susie's ready to have this conversation.
I am ready for this conversation.
We're going to get there in the next 30 seconds.
The Luke and Susie Discourse.
So David has asked the question, do you allow your dog to sleep on the bed? And the answer is no, we didn't. We got a puppy and we were like, no, the dog's going to sleep in the bathroom where it can get outside and go to the bathroom as it needs to, and it now sleeps on our bed every night.
Okay, yeah. Can I give some advice for anyone who's trying to think about this and hasn't got their dog and is going, how do I stop this and the dog sleeping in my bed? You can't get a puppy. You can't get a puppy.
They're too cute.
No, because I would be okay with kicking my dog out of bed now, but the habit's formed. But when a puppy comes in and crawls in and snuggles up and goes under the blanket and like it's just so adorable, you can't bring yourself to go, oh no, we're gonna go. Look, I'm a softie on the inside.
But
Sue.
I'm a terrible sleeper, and having the dog in the bed is absolutely terrible. So if you don't have the dog in the bed, do not start putting the dog in the bed. Is my advice.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
He's super cute.
His most comfortable places to lie when you're asleep is to crawl up into a space between your legs so that you then can't roll for the rest of the night. You're stuck in it. It's just ridiculous. You sleep light. I sleep heavy, and then suddenly I wake up in the most uncomfortable position. Sometimes he's just been crawling over me to get in and out of bed. Like he literally just walks on me.
See, the first pet that I ever had actually was a cat. It wasn't a dog. And the cat also would jump up and end up sleeping in the bed. That's not where he started. It was where he would end up. But sometimes he would end up and he would be lying across my neck, and I'd think, is he trying to get rid of me?
Yeah.
Or he'd lie across my forehead.
Yeah.
Wake up with this cat on my face.
All right, let's get some thoughts on this.
All right, Bob, do you have any pets? And if so, do they sleep in the bed with you?
Yeah, no, they definitely don't sleep in the bed. I've got 2 border collies, so they're definitely
bigger
outside.
Dogs. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Big dogs would take the whole bed.
Yes. They definitely would, but even that, we've got a ragdoll cat, and we're very much a no animals inside, so I've actually built the cat a 3 metre by 3 metre cage outside.
Oh.
Yeah. I can just imagine the border collies, if they did come up and sleep in the bed, and they would lie in a position where their tail would then just wag and like be a feather tickling your nose. That would just be
very
it'd definitely be across the top of me too. They'd avoid the wife and be across me.
Yeah,
I need someone like you in my life, Bob. I'm too soft to touch for these pets. They're always going to win when it comes to...
You could always allow me to be the bad guy, but you never did.
No.
And now it's too late.
It's too late.
You've missed your opportunity.
It's probably not too late.
For me to be a bad
dogs
guy.
are teachable, right?
Yeah, dogs are. Humans aren't.
Yeah. Carol, do you have a pet?
I had a dog Yeah, for 15 years.
And did dog sleep in the bed with you?
Oh, yeah, the last few years of his life he did. And, we couldn't get him out. He'd sit outside the door and cry. So we'd let him in, but he had his spot at the end of the bed. We put his own little blanket there, and he would jump up every night and snuggle on down. And that's
just that one spot.
That one spot, yes.
Okay.
That would be.
He wouldn't come up. He wouldn't let us cuddle him into blankets and that. He just didn't like that feel. So, yeah.
I wish.
He had to be with us. He couldn't outside the room.
That's a decent compromise on the bed, but in a specific spot. That's not bad. I like
and
that.
that's not under the blanket
Not,
or on you. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you have pets at home?
Yes, we do. We have a giant white German Shepherd and
Okay.
a Siamese cat.
Okay, let's talk about the cat first. Does the cat sleep in the bed with you?
The cat is torturous, and yes, it does. It comes in and out, and ruins our sleep. Sleeps all over the bed, but it kind of waits till the morning, and then it will come and sit beside us. And a while ago, it started coughing, and I think we both jumped and got a fright. So I realised that coughing gets our attention because otherwise we try and ignore it. So we had to detrain it from coughing. We had to ignore it, so it doesn't do it anymore.
Goodness.
But it's funny, because it comes in the morning when it thinks that it's time for us to get up. It'll start scratching around the sheets under our faces and then curl up next to us with its face like right on whoever's in the bed. So yeah.
Wow. And giant white dog.
The giant German Shepherd, yep. So he's so big, like there's no way we'd have him on our bed, but he's not even allowed in our bedroom. He comes in first thing in the morning to, like when we're up, he'll come in. But apart from that, he knows that once we go to bed, that's it. He goes in his bed in the lounge and he sleeps there. So,
When we were cat sitting, do you remember the cat would, he didn't want anything to do with me, but would come into our room in the middle of the night and then put his face right next to my ear and then be making noises like it was deliberately trying to irritate me and wake me up. And then I would go, "Oh, buddy," and I would start to give him a bit of a pat, and then he'd get up and go, "Oh, I don't want any of that." And then he'd walk out. The moment I pretended like he wasn't annoying me, he was gone. That's all he wanted to do. Wake me up and irritate me. Cats, I don't like them.
that's not obnoxious.
Caroline says no to the pet sleeping in the bed because she said my husband takes up enough room and my two dogs do not understand personal space. So I said this on the show and I told you this and I don't think you'd experienced. I had to point it out to you that every time the dog gets excited to see me and I'm sitting on the couch, he jumps up on me, turns around and sticks his butt in my face. And he did it yesterday. And I said, "Susie, look," and you saw it.
Yeah. Yeah,
he
his
just does it on
bottom's right up.
purpose.
It's like a parrot right up on your shoulder.
Yeah, but he deliberately turns around, like he'll be licking my face, and then when I go, "Oh no, that's enough," he'll turn around and put his butt in my face. It's like, well, if you say it's enough, then let me tell you what I think of that. It's ridiculous, Sue.
I don't think he's trying to be rude. I just think he's trying to get comfy.
Yeah, that's what you think. He's on your side. Producer Sammy, would you let the dog sleep in your bed? You don't have one, do you?
Not currently, no. But back in South Africa, we had the Chow Chow. She's like a medium size. Interestingly enough, we've had stages. So obviously, when she was a puppy, she was my baby. I trained her, so she would sleep at the foot of my bed, kind of similar to whoever said before with the blanket. The only time she'll come up towards the pillows would be when my mom and I were cuddling and we would have a laugh. Then she'd come and she'd want to squeeze in between both of us.
Yeah. To be fair, I think if I had a Chow Chow, I'd let him sleep in the bed. Yeah. Because they're fluffy.
They're so cute.
They're so fluffy.
They are cute.
It'd be like a pillow and a blanket. Like, as long as you can get him to sit still.
Absolutely. And it's funny because she would lie on the end of the bed and she'd only be there for bedtime. But after she had puppies, that was her safe space. Puppies couldn't jump on the bed.
Oh, they weren't allowed. Oh, good to know.
That was her mom self-care moment.
Yeah. So you couldn't stop the dog being on the bed, but the dog could stop the dogs being on the bed.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Luke and Susie Discourse.
All right, let's get to our next topic of conversation, which is all about soy sauce, Suze. Well, actually, it was initially the conversation was brought up about the little sauce that go with sushi.
Yeah.
And in the midst of that, there was this conversation then about the fact that, when I get a burger from McDonald's and I take the pickles off. And then there's just all these things that might come where people just get it as a part of whatever they order and the food they buy, but they don't eat it. Do you waste any food? Like, to me, I take a lot of tomato off. There's some meals where I could go, there's more that I've taken off the burger and off the plate and pushed to the side than what I actually ate.
I used to. And it's now a philosophical change that I don't.
Right.
So I used to take pickle off. I used to take tomato off.
Right.
But I don't now because I've heard tomato is really good for your heart, and I think I'm getting older. I need to take care of my heart, and if eating a tomato helps that, then that's what I want to do. So if there's a tomato as part of the meal, then I'll just eat the tomato, even if I don't necessarily like it.
You've changed.
But yeah, I used to. I'd have half a plate full of food.
Just so anybody else, if you don't realise why this is so important, Susie and I bonded in our first relationship status over our dislike of tomato. So the mere fact she's eating tomato now is like a personal betrayal.
It's for my well-being.
Yeah,
Don't you want me to live a long, healthy life?
Not at the expense of our tomato connection.
Oh, come on.
It's not true. So you don't have anything that you waste?
Not so much. Only sometimes the garnish stuff. I don't get the garnish, so I won't eat garnish.
Do you know
parsley and stuff that sits on the top?
Macca's these days aren't as consistent with the pickles as they used to be. Sometimes you get one, sometimes you get none, sometimes you get two. And so there are times when I play a game of chicken with the pickle. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to bite into the burger, and do I get pickle in this bite or not? And if I get the pickle, then I just pull it out and spit it out. But I'll take the risk. And sometimes I get through a whole burger and go, I didn't get any pickle. I'm like, yes, it's winning. I didn't pull it out, and it wasn't there.
I find the pickle thing weird because it doesn't change the taste of a burger.
It does.
I don't think it does.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know who put it on there in the first place.
Let's find out your thoughts. Do you waste any ingredients when you're eating out? Bev and Nigel, when you eat out, if you eat out, is there ever anything that you take off a burger or take off a plate or leave on the plate?
Well, you want me to answer?
Yeah, you can get there. I don't have any. I don't like the garnish, and but the rest is all good. Nigel doesn't like raw onion.
Oh, okay.
That's the only thing I take off. I think they say there's a difference between ripe brown and red onion, and they say red onion's the one you have with salad, but I don't taste any difference. It still stays on your breath for about a day and a half, and you can't get it off.
Yeah.
So it has to be at least half cooked for me to eat an onion.
Look, Nigel, I got to tell you, Nigel, if your stomach responds to onion the way that mine does, you're doing everybody a favour by leaving it on the plate.
It's not the smell of Susie's breath that is overly concerning when she eats onion.
Unfortunately not.
But I'm not saying it's not a smell issue. It's just not a breath issue.
It's not. Joe, if you eat out, is there anything, do you leave food behind, leave it on the side of the plate, or do you make sure there is no waste?
You know what, I would have said I make sure there's no waste, but then I heard you talking about sushi, and I remembered wasabi. And
yeah.
Yeah, I can't do a whole tube of wasabi.
Yeah,
it's a lot. It's a lot.
I had a little dip of wasabi a month or so ago. I went, yeah, wasabi, and then I went, ooh, wasabi. It was pretty brutal. Pretty brutal. We have one of our boys who loves his pancakes, but you know whether you get it from McDonald's or whether you get it from a cafe or whatever, there's all these extra little bits that people think you should have with pancakes to make them better, and he goes, plain, maybe with some maple syrup, but there's all this icing, dusting, and sometimes some fruit stuff and butters, and he's like, and so a lot of stuff can go to waste. We have to go now and ask for none of the extra stuff, please, because it could ruin the entire pancake for you.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right.
Heather, is there any food in particular that you that goes to waste, whether it be the soy sauce, the wasabi, the pickles on a burger? What do you not eat?
Well, I've always hated alfalfa. That the thing that looks like an old man's beard. Yeah. I think it does look like an old man's beard. I don't like it and pickles, nah. But usually I eat. Yeah, my husband comes from poverty-stricken background. He had to work hard. I come from a single-parent family. You eat what you're given, sort of thing. So when I go out, I'm like, oh, thank you, God. Yes. I don't have to cook this meal. I'm gonna go for it. But
that's
also
good.
with steak, if it's like this, those alternating meals that you get at like weddings and stuff like that, and functions. If I get the steak, which I usually do, if it's huge and it's like the whole plate, I don't end up eating it. I'm so sorry. I don't eat the whole thing.
Yeah, some places you go to, the serving sizes, I don't know who they're catering to. Is it a giant? Because it's not a normal human being, surely.
I've never experienced that once in my life.
They're
Which
catering
tells
for
you
you.
who they're catering for.
I thought it might be offensive to you, actually.
Yeah, but no, I one of my greatest disappointments of parenting is when our children got out of the stage where they were leaving leftovers and they were eating their entire meals, because now I'm like, oh,
less for you,
less for me. But now they've gone to that stage where a kid's meal's not enough and it's now adult meals, so they're starting to leave leftovers again.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yes, I'm back in the game.
So we're not going to be eating out for the next 10 years until they're out of home because it's too expensive.
Oh my gosh, it adds up. It adds up.
She'd always put her hand back over the seat and go, donations, donations.
We'd love to hear your thoughts. You can get onto the chat and you can SMS through to the show at any time. 0417 455 537. That's 0417 455 537. Caroline, she says she gets extra pickles. And then says yummy, but then she says she never eats the rocket.
Yeah, okay.
I don't quite understand rocket, to be honest. Like the first person who ate rocket must have gone, oh, this is dry, dusty, and tasteless. It kind of stabs you on the way down. Oh, let's put it in the salad. Like, I don't.
Maybe different. I think different taste buds experience it differently, obviously.
But I don't know that my issue with rocket is less about the taste. I don't think there's a lot of taste, but it doesn't feel like
The
a
texture
very
of it.
yeah. It's just dry and dusty and spiky. Like it's a little pricky as it goes down your throat. I don't know. Just nothing about it feels good. I don't know. But obviously people. I was going to say obviously people like it, but then it might be a case of offal where they've got all these leftover bits and they've got to put it in something and sell it so they can make more money. It looks like they've weeded their garden though and put that in the bag for someone's salad. It's like weeds. That's what it's like. Anyway, I'm going to leave the rant there.
Okay.
The Luke and Susie Discourse.
So this is a question that's come to the show about, I guess, our residential habits in life and the longest that you've lived in one place. For me, it's not very long. Like I moved a lot. Like my childhood home, but I must have been 3 or 4 when we moved there, and I moved out for the first time when I was 15. Came back, moved out, came back, moved out. The whole time got mum to do my washing. So maybe I technically lived there the whole time. Even in my mid-20s, just before I got married, even though I had a different address, maybe. Even so, in our dating and the years between when I left home and met you, like I had short stints. At one point, I lived in like 9 places in 3 years. But I'm just my childhood home is the longest, but it's still not long compared to you because you grew up in the
Yeah. So I was about 16 and a half years in the one house, and my parents are still in that house. But they moved there when I was 1. I moved out when I went to university at 17. So yeah, but they're still there. So Caboolture is the longest I've lived anywhere.
Caboolture, home of cheese and
it was
Keith
Dairy Town
Urban.
when I was growing up there. That's what it was like. But what about you? What's the longest you've stayed and lived in one place? Phil, what is it for you? Where's the longest you've stayed or lived in one place?
Well, I'm average of eight years in a few places because my dad was in the railway. When we were younger,
okay.
so moved everywhere. Some places we loved them, some places we hated. So all up about average about 8 years in a few different places.
Do you have a favourite one from your memory that was the favourite place you lived?
Well, place called Dungog.
Dungog?
Yeah, central New South Wales.
What did you love about Dungog?
Oh, we had good friends, good fun, good enjoyment. No, we were only young, but
but good memories.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Dad wanted the railway wanted Dad to move, so I had to move.
Oh.
Went to another school, and I was actually fourth in the class when I was there, and I went to another school. I was one of the dunces.
Oh, goodness.
Well, mate, it's so did you? So the life of moving. Do you think in the end it was something that you appreciated, or you kind of didn't like it?
I hated it.
Yeah, yeah.
Trying to find new friends every time, and you lose contact with the old friends, and
yeah, it's challenging for kids. And I never considered. It's funny because there's some jobs you think that come with moving, but I'd never had considered about how railway workers would be moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Bob, what's the longest you've stayed in one place?
Oh, that would have to be growing up. I lived with the mum and dad till I was about 22.
Yeah.
But yeah, since then, we've moved out with the wife, and we've been back and forth houses, and the most we've had is probably 2 years.
Okay.
And then we've had the unfortunate of the owner selling the house, or the owner not wanting to rent it anymore, or so the house we're currently in, the owner wants to move back in, so we've got to find somewhere else as it is.
Yeah.
But I've been in the one town all my life.
Yeah. And then, but
So
obviously,
I come from Molong.
Yeah. And but the whole pattern of moving house has changed quite a bit since you've been married.
Oh yes, especially with 3 kids. There's a lot more extra stuff.
Oh, it is ridiculous. The first time I remember I moved town, everything was in one car. And then, it was literally, and it was just a medium sedan. In my Mazda 626, everything was packed in. And then the next couple of times I moved, it just added stuff, and the vehicle just had to get bigger and bigger. In the end, one move we had a shipping container, Suze. It's out of control. Out of control.
Let's find out your story. What's the longest you've stayed or lived in one place? Joe, what is it for you?
I think I lived at Warners Bay for about 12 years from when I was a kid to when I was about 16. Yeah, but I've lived in Newcastle for most of my life. It's a great place.
Awesome. So good. Heather, what is it for you? What's the longest you've lived in one place?
Well, first of all, I thought you meant how long you've stayed in one place. I thought you meant like stood in one place, and I thought of this challenge I did for sex trafficking like years ago, like staying in one place. So that, but probably.
How long was that? How long was it for?
Oh, it was like a day. All the kids got supervised in the hall. It was like over a day, probably like nearly 12 hours. And
wow.
In one spot. Yeah, and it was for Destiny Rescue sex trafficking. Really good.
Yeah. Wowza.
But
that's an unexpected answer, but let's talk about where you lived.
On another note, we digress. I grew up in Gympie, so really good memories there with the rodeo and having a big block of land. Not growing, but now I live in the city and it's just completely different. But I lived there for over 15 years. So that was a big part of my life. And you'd go to the shops and you'd see your teacher and you'd be like, oh, hi, Mrs. Like just in the deli aisle or something like that. Every week you'd see a teacher at the shops because it was that small. And I loved it. I miss that sometimes.
Yeah, it is. And sometimes you're glad for it when you go, I really don't want to see anybody. I don't want to be. And then you go, I hope like, but then there's other times when you realize you've gone so long without community and there is something beautiful about in a workplace. It's the hallway conversations. It's the spontaneous things that connect you with other people.
That's it.
Yeah.
Or just on the weekends with all the community getting together. Everyone knew each other. Like it's different now in a big city. Yeah.
Yeah. Dana has said, I'm a creature of habit and despise moving. 13 years in our previous home, 5 years in the house before that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the way to go. I reckon I hope the next house we move into we don't move from because I don't like moving. It's awful.
Moving is terrible. It's horrible. Producer Sammy, speaking of this, I don't want to bring up any current traumatic stress disorder. But how's the plan to move going? Because you're on the cusp of it.
Oh my goodness. So our lease ends in November. But of course, I have my Oktoberfest in September coming up.
Yeah.
So with all of the housemates, there's 5 of us adults. They have to agree. We all have to go to the same place. So we need to get it. So either we're looking for a place before we go to Europe, or when we come back from Europe, we only have 5 weeks to find another roof over our heads.
Yeah.
So that's very exciting.
And all of that, everyone comes back to,
That's a
you've
good
got
way
to
to
get
put it.
5 grown-ups to agree.
Oh, piece of cake, Luke.
It only takes one to ruin everything, Sammy. It only takes one. And everyone will go, that's okay, I don't mind, I'm not fussy, I don't have much on my list. And you go, okay, cool. Well, then this one. And they go, oh, no, not that one. No. And you go, why? Oh, I don't know, I'm just not feeling it.
That's okay. Give me 3 days, it will become a dictatorship.
Control freak, Sammy. I can picture it.
All right,
Picture it.
let's finish this one up. What's the longest you have stayed or lived in one place? Nigel and Bev, what is it for you?
Well, we've been here 20 years here where we live now, but the longest when I was a child was 12 years. How about for you, darling?
Oh, Kiama was similar. Basically time of my apprenticeship, and then I went overseas. So yeah, about 20, about the same.
About 20 years.
20,
That's
about 20,
amazing.
20,
Beautiful. You sound very stable when you say that. It's really...
We want to move. We just want to move off the highway and live near the ocean. So we're just waiting for that to happen. We don't want to live near the ocean, but a house far enough from the ocean that we don't get all the effects from the ocean. But that will happen in the next probably 4 or 5 years. So we'll just wait for that to happen. And I can't imagine until we go out now. I don't think we'll move after that. But you don't know.
Yeah.
Life can give
You don't know.
That's right.
Life happens. You never quite know what's coming around the corner. We love it when you message the show and get involved in the conversation. You can do that on the text to 0417 455 37. That's 0417 455 37.
The Luke and Susie Discourse.
All right, Suze, let's explore our career.
Well, we're going to the movies as well. If someone was making a movie about your current job, what genre would it be and what would they call it?
Oh, what genre would it be?
I'm locked in a studio with my husband for hours on end. It's a horror, is the genre?
A horror comedy. Yeah.
Look, surely it's got to be.
It's not a love story. Okay, fine. I mean, that's the other
rom-com.
option you could have gone with.
Let's go rom-com. Yeah.
But you've
romantic
gone
comedy
/ horror. Our life is like a frat party. Suze, that's what it would be. No?
Oh, perception is everything, isn't it?
Gee whiz. And what would they call it, Suze?
Oh.
What would they call your rom-com horror comedy thing?
I don't know. Talking. That's it. Just talking.
Well, a lot of my work, the reality is, regardless of who's around and what it is that I'm doing, is sitting. So I don't know what genre. Okay,
that's a great movie. Sitting and talking.
Yeah. So what was that? The Assistant is what we watched, and it was the most dull movie I've ever seen in my life. And it was literally. I mean, there was a slight fringe to this story that, in theory, was what it was about, but in actuality, it was an entire long movie following the day in the life of a personal assistant. And like you literally were there where she's stapling and filing and making binders and nothing was being said, but she was just doing assistant work. And I'm like, there
was a message through it.
Yes, but that was the predominant part of the footage. And I'm like, so if they made a show like that about my job, because there's all this glamour of, the laugh and the stories and the interviews, but most of my day is just sitting.
We're starting to get some messages through on this. Joe says horror is the genre and adolescence is the title. She's teaching 12 to 16-year-olds. Dana works in education and she'd call it a suspense or action movie.
Yeah.
And Caroline says Motherhood, the Terror. Is the title
Okay.
movie.
It's all coming out. All right, let's get the genre. Let's get the title of your movie. Carol, what would yours be?
Oh, look, I'm retired now, so it'd have to be Gardening Australia.
Gardening Australia. That's not a bad life you've got there, Carol, by the sounds of it.
Yeah. No, it's pretty good, but it's right on the coast, so you're pretty. It's pretty tough getting stuff to grow right on the coast where there's really strong winds. So it's a real challenge, but so it could be called something like challenge gardening.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like a drama.
Yeah.
A bit of drama to go with getting things to
Or
grow.
a
and
lifestyle
nurturing.
documentary.
Oh.
That's a good thought. Yeah.
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 A doco. I like it. Phil.
Was better better than a sheepdog looking after his sheep. So I don't know. We could.
I'm not spending a lot of time analysing sheepdog looking after sheep. But,
No.
Phil, what about you? If someone was to make a movie of your job, what would the genre be and what would you call it?
Well, it'll be boring for a start because I'm not. My business is very, very slow at the moment. But I think comedy drama would be interesting.
Right. Yeah. And what would you call it, Phil?
The life and times of a courier driver.
The life and times of a courier driver.
Well, that's how exciting the job is.
Well, yeah. Okay. Look, so he was technically a postman, but this was in the era before it was heavy courier drivers. There is a show about someone who had a career like that, and his name was Postman Pat. And Susie has been very passionate. She gets very emotional at any mention of Postman Pat because he was very bad at his job, Sue.
Yeah. So please tell me you're good at your job, Phil.
Oh, I'm good at my job. It's just that I don't get the customers.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as long as you don't have a cat with you, although the cat saved the day, didn't he? Like the cat
was better at his job than Pat was.
Yeah.
Pat was terrible.
I'd get home after Susie was watching Postman Pat with the kids, and I'd get home and she'd be like, "I can't believe that guy still has a job. He is terrible. He loses packages. He loses his way. He's got no idea what he's doing." And then
I just tisk away, Phil. Just a lot of tisking from me when it comes to Postman Pat.
I've got 2 cats, and they'd be like Postman Pat.
So you're the cat from Postman Pat. You're not Postman Pat. Bob, if someone was going to make a movie about your job, what would the genre be and what would you call it?
Oh, I have no idea just what to call it. I was kind of hoping to avoid this question.
Right.
All right.
Depending on the day, really, we're absolutely flat out. We do a lot of custom work. So every day would nearly be an adventure as far as what we've got going. But then depending what comes on the radio, it could be a musical with the boys in the workshop.
It's a musical.
A musical
they
adventure.
They start. Yep.
Yeah. I'm into that. That sounds really, really good. What sort of work do you do, Bob?
I'm a welder by trade, so I do a lot of welding and custom fabrication.
Custom fabrication. That's your title right there.
That's it.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
The tall tale of a musical welder.
Yeah.
Yes, we've got the whole pitch.
I like it.
This is great. Okay, Heather, if they're making a movie about your job, what genre is it and what do you call it?
Well, I work as an RN. I'm a nurse, and I was thinking about it, and it would be a drama, but they don't wear doctors don't wear lab coats. It's not that dramatic, but also thriller because you never know what's going to happen. But also on the other side of things, I'd probably call it Dream Team because we all work as a team, and like the cleaners, the food people. It's not all about doctors and nurses. We all play a part. Yeah.
Oh,
that's amazing.
Nice.
I love that.
That's nice. And just before I went to you, I was reading Christians, which says I'm an electrician. Genre is cringe comedy. Movie name is What on Earth Was I Thinking? which different take to your love of your dream team. But what I like about that is I don't know if he meant it, but there's a nice little pun in there.
Yeah.
What on earth? He's an electrician.
Yeah.
It's a real spark of an idea that for Christian. Should I keep going with the electrical dad joke puns? No?
I don't think so.
All right, leave it there. Moving on. Okay, who haven't we gone to?
Joe.
Joe, if someone was to make a movie of your job, what would the genre be and what would you call it?
Hey, so I do a bit of software development projects. I think it'd be like a bit of a Lord of the Rings trilogy type thing because it just goes on and on and on. Things keep going wrong, but we keep pushing on. Yeah, so that'll be it. And I guess the title would be like The Never Ending Story or something like that.
Yeah, right.
I like that when you said it could be, the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I'm thinking because it's an epic tale of adventure. And you went, no, because it just drags on and on. It tells both of what you think about your job and the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
That's right.
And probably blew over budget as well, I'd say.
I like it. On the SMS, get involved and message through to the show at 0417 455 37. That's 0417 455 37. And while technically we have another question, do we want to end it there? I'm just not sure that we've... Yeah?
Yeah, I think we can.
So it's been great to have you hang out. We are going to do this again at some point next week. We like to hang out and have some chats. You can also get involved at lukeandsusie.com and submit some of your questions and thoughts and whether you want serious ideas or whether you want ridiculous tomfoolery ideas, which we go with either, then you can get involved in our Luke and Susie discourse and be a part of the community. That's at lukeandsusie.com. Until next time, we'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.